Yo, welcome to Hello Charlotte Heaven's Gate. Before we start playing, I do have to say that if you haven't played Hello Charlotte, please go play or watch Hello Charlotte first, because Heaven's Gate is supposed to be played right at the end of Hello Charlotte. It's just that I've played the entirety of Hello Charlotte, well, inclusive of Heaven's Gate, actually, about, I would say 4 years ago, maybe. I just wanted to play it again because I enjoy it a lot. So yeah, maybe one day, if you guys don't mind me not having a first time reaction to Hello Charlotte, I would love to play it again. Before I start playing as well, I would like to say that this game includes sensitive topics of stuff like that. Yes. Anyway, let's begin. Sorry for the weird voice and maybe lethargic sounding tone. I can't really tell from here, but I just got my voice back recently, so I wanted to play a more relaxing game. So let's start. Right, this game is by Etherane, my all-time favorite creator ever. I love them so much. Heaven's Gate. Chapter 1. Vincent Fennel. Vincent Fennel is watching a small trail of ants go by, his gaze remaining disinterested. I approach him out of curiosity. Oh, winged ants. That's rare. They're so small. That's good. Bugs are yucky. Look. He gets up from his knees and steps closer to the ant trail. We must be like gods to them, don't you think? With those words, Vincent picks one up. Just one tug and the wings rip off with an alarming ease. Stop it, let go. What are you being so upset about? Just because we're bigger, that doesn't mean we should hurt them. It's just a bug, though. Mom says even the smallest lives matter. My mom says bugs are annoying. If you don't stop, I'll tell the nurses. The boy simply gets up and leaves. What's up with him? From that day on, I decide I don't like Vincent Fennel at all. Chapter 2. Tazos. It's lunch break. Everyone's trading stickers and hoarding Tazos, a recent fad among kids. Vincent is surrounded by children who are marveling at his collection. Oh, this one is super rare. Where did you get it? It was in my chips. Lucky. Do you want it? Can I have it? But I don't have anything good to trade you. I don't mind. Just choose one you don't have then. Trade with me too. Me too. What are you looking at, Charlie? Want to trade too? No. Mom says chips are bad for health. Boring. Vincent, look, I have holographic ones. What's so special about him? All he has is a pack of Tazos. Lost in thought, I trip and drop the box of the classroom turtle that I was carrying. The nurses yell at me and make me stand in a corner for half an hour. I blame it on Vincent, too. Chapter 3. Mother. When I'm 5, we move into a flat swarming with cockroaches and pigeons living on the balcony. Why is this place so dirty, Mom? I ask. The person who lives here wasn't very cleanly, is Mother's answer. I want to go back home, I tell her. Why did we have to leave? We won't be staying here for long, dear, Mother says. I want to believe her. The surrounding dirt makes my skin crawl. Later, I overhear our neighbors talking and learn that the former owner was a drug addict. Died of overdose, they say. When I raise my voice, Mother tells me to keep quiet. When I walk around the house, Mother says that my footsteps are too loud. I become excited. Mother reprimands me for misbehaving. One evening, she has a breakdown over unsorted clothes in the drawers. We're talking normally, and then the next moment the house is filled with shouting and sounds of my clothes being violently thrown onto the floor. There must be something else she's angry at, but I'm too young to understand. I apologize over and over, promising I won't do that ever again, as if I committed a grave sin. I'm sorry, Mother. I can make everything right. I won't become a burden. Chapter 4. Concert. I remember now. I remember how much Heaven's Gate hits when it hits. We're having a concert to celebrate autumn. Our nurses are wearing dresses with paper maple leaves sewn onto them. I recite a poem out loud, trying not to mess it up halfway. It has 4 lines. I'm so nervous that my voice comes out too quietly, even though I recite it perfectly. Vincent got 6 lines. It must be because the nurses think he's the smartest in the group. Hell, he even goes to chess club. Vincent recites the poem in a monotonous voice like he doesn't give a care. Vincent's almost always the last to be picked up by his parents. Sometimes nobody comes and he just goes home alone. I tell Mom about that and she totally freaks out. How can a child go home by himself? She exclaims, shocked. What are his parents thinking? I don't know what to say to that. Chapter 5. Valentine's Day. It's Valentine's Day. Everyone gets tangerines and Kinder Surprises for lunch. I get sick and throw up onto my festive shirt. I didn't like it much anyway. Mom did, though. Vincent's at the nurse office, too. He tripped and scraped his knee. The nurse is drawing a net on it with green antiseptic. The scrape seems bad, but he's not even wincing, his stare staying blank. Doesn't he feel any pain? Maybe he's actually a robot. I want to ask him that, but my headache is too strong, so I ignore him. All I want is to go home and watch cartoons in bed. Thankfully, Mom's quick to come to my rescue. Afterwards, I stay at home for a whole week. Chapter 6. New stage. Time passes fast. My kindergarten graduation album is filled with pictures of other kids running around and a macro photograph of myself in some kind of medieval clothing from their photo shoot. It's my favorite one, but I'll never admit that. I can barely contain my excitement for the first day of school. Vincent goes to a different one, but it doesn't matter. I didn't like him much anyway. Chapter 7. Friends. Elementary school is boring. I solve all the problems in my math workbook in one evening, and as a consequence end up dying of boredom at actual lessons. Shouldn't there be a faster way to do this? As the school days pass, I get so excited about my intellectual abilities that I point out others' mistakes every time I notice them. The girl sitting next to me seems to enjoy my company, mainly because she gets to copy my answers during tests. In the meantime, I find a new way to make friends. All you have to do is buy them food or share yours. Then everyone will gather around you, excited to get sweets for free. I spend all my pocket money on snacks and still end up being chosen last at PE lessons. It takes me some time and an after-school beating to learn not to poke my nose into others' business. It's not my fault people cheat on tests. I'm just doing what's right. At least that's what I think. Apparently people don't like snitches, nor do they like being responsible or proper. While I'm doing everything not to be a burden, they're giving their all to cause trouble. I feel like this will take some time to sink in. Over the years, I learned to keep my mouth shut. From a moderately talkative kid, I turned into a complete class ghost. By the end of 4th year, everyone still calls me by my last name. Chapter 8. Reunion. In middle school, we see each other again. Vincent looks more frail than I remember him being. Or maybe it's just that I've gotten taller. When he sees me, he smiles. In fact, he smiles to everyone. The usual unchanging blank expression that he had in kindergarten is gone from his face, replaced with a mask. It's unsettling. I don't smile back. Somehow we ended up doing a class project together. By the time I gathered the courage to ask someone to invite me, everyone else had already found a partner. But there was an open slot in his group. The other two kids just want easy marks, so only the two of us actually ended up working. Vincent is surprisingly nice to work with. He's a good team player, very considerate, and giving his all to complete the task. In complete contrast to most of the kids. For the first time in a while, I had fun working in a group. System notification. One incoming message from Charles. Here, I'm sending over the presentation files. Great work. Let's do our best tomorrow. He's thankful for my effort. And this must be the first time in 5 years of school. I'm so moved that I put his name first on the project's title slide. It's the project's presentation day. Vincent, who was chosen as our group's representative, has a clear and powerful voice. Unlike me, who gets so anxious that I start to stumble on every word, earning giggles from classmates. I hate myself for it. Regardless, our group gets the highest marks. Maybe teamwork isn't half bad, I catch myself thinking. Chapter 9, Weekly. Vincent loses consciousness during one of our PE lessons. I've never really noticed it before, but he has the worst stamina in class. While I fail at all the speed tests, I can endure running long distances just fine. He, however, looks completely exhausted after just a few laps. After overhearing one of the conversations between teachers, I learned that Vincent has health complications. Oh, Fennel's not running again. I heard he has a weak heart. Or was it anemia? He's the best student in class. Maybe he's pushing himself too hard. People like that don't live long. My uncle died from a stroke. Really? Vincent? Dying? The possibility has never occurred to me before. Maybe children don't think too deeply about life and death in general. I look at him sitting on a bench near the teacher, watching us run. We never really talk, but I've been watching him for a while. To me, it feels like we share a connection. Chapter 10, Henrietta Warhol. I often volunteer to stay behind on class duty. Henrietta Warhol gets bullied into it. The other girls call her smelly and cow tits and make her do things instead of them. So right now, she's unenthusiastically scrubbing the dirty desk with a wet rag. You should use detergent to rub this off. Don't tell me what to do, Eiler. Why are you even here? It's not your turn to clean. I like cleaning. Or more like, I can't trust anyone with it. Everyone's too sloppy and lazy to properly clean all the dust. Just thinking of sitting behind a dirty desk makes my skin crawl. Weirdo. You can go home. I plan to stay after lessons anyway. I have piano class coming up in 2 hours. Just enough time to clean and do homework. No, I'll stay. They're waiting outside. If I go too early, they might think I'm slacking off. Damn, it's complicated. Okay. We clean in silence. I don't really know what to talk about with her. Henrietta doesn't seem like she's up for discussing homework either. And Henrietta? Yes? Give me your hand. Huh? I placed a candy in it. Here, go work today. Carrying snacks around still remains as a habit of mine. Might as well try to win Warhol's goodwill with it. Henrietta stays weirdly silent. There isn't anything wrong with it, right? Unless you don't like barberry flavor. Oh. Thanks. You're welcome. Henrietta awkwardly stumbles out of the classroom without saying so much as a goodbye. Weeks later, we start talking during lunch break sometimes. The other girls mock and tease her for it, but Henrietta learns to talk back. Maybe she's more confident about herself when she feels less alone. System notification. 3 incoming messages from Wanri. Okay, listen up, Isla. We're gonna get rid of your acne. I'm gonna send you a list of skincare products and food to avoid. But Mom, no buts. For a clean freak, you sure hate looking after yourself. Chapter 11, Past. Mother never tells me anything about her past or her father, so I never ask. It's something we never talk about. All I can do is listen to her occasionally cry at night, and we keep quiet about it in the morning. She's holding up well, but I can't help but worry that one day she might trip and fall and never get up. The thought makes my hand itch. I spend 10 minutes in the bathroom trying to wash it off. I want to grow up and become someone she can depend on. Chapter 12, Alone. It's quiet in the mind library. I'm hunched over a language workbook trying to fill in the blanks, but all the letters come up jumbled. I write them over and over again until the pages are filled with illegible scribbles. Frey peeks over my shoulder like nothing's wrong. Doing someone's homework again, Miss Wiltshire? You do know it's not your obligation to do it, don't you? It's for a friend. Ah, so that's why you couldn't turn them down. Because they said you're friends. Was it so wrong to believe them, Frey? No, of course not. Miss Wiltshire is a very earnest girl, after all. Too gullible for her own good. You see, what your so-called friend used was a keyword. A password that doesn't mean anything. You heard it and immediately thought of the meaning you had for it. You may have thought the other person meant, I want to help and understand you. But in reality, they meant, I want to use you for my own needs. Sure, they could have been honest with you, but would you be doing this for them if you knew the truth? Right. But that doesn't make them evil, per se. If they were the main character, I'm sure the viewers would understand their way of thinking. Frey runs his finger over a messed up sentence and stops at the period mark. The true evil lies in muddled words, Miss Wiltshire. Remember that. I absent-mindedly looked at the ruined workbook. Still, if I don't do as they say, I'll be left all alone. This is all I'm good for anyway. Frey leans his head on me, but I have no strength left to shove him away. You know that's not true, Miss Wiltshire. You just want someone to make you feel better about yourself, even if it's someone you despise. But don't worry, I know all the words you want to hear. You may feel like you're never doing enough, but in reality, you're always doing your best, aren't you? Chapter 13, School Trip. During the first year of high school, we go on a school trip. I don't have anyone to make promises about sitting together with, so right now I'm left with 3 choices. A, sitting with the teacher. B, sitting with one of the class bullies. Or C, approaching Mr. Fennel, who happens to have a seat open near him. I decide that the latter is lesser evil. Mind if I sit here? Not at all. Thanks. Oh, now that I think of it, it's the front seat. I shouldn't be taking it. You can just change with someone if they get car sick. I, for one, can sit at the back. I always get dizzy. Sucks to be you. Vincent laughs dryly. His laughter doesn't reach his eyes. Crap. I just messed up my second formal conversation with him. By the time I gather myself again, Vincent's long since asleep. His head is bumping against the bus window in small intervals. I bring out my MP3 player, but minutes later everyone decides to watch an action movie. The loud sound doesn't seem to bother Vincent, who's sleeping with earplugs. I should have brought some too. In the end, I settle on watching the movie and lose track of time. By the time we arrive at the hotel, it's past midnight. I get a room with 3 guys who don't mind me ditching them during the night. Success. At best, they'll get drunk and play cards in someone else's room until sunrise, and at worst, one of them brought drugs. Maybe both. We get up the stairs and unlock our room. It has a bed and a shower, so it's perfect. My classmates leave the room as soon as they finish unpacking. As expected, they don't bother inviting me anywhere. Glad they know I hate having fun. I spend half of the night sketching ideas for comics I might draw someday. All of them feel like I've seen them before. In the morning, I emit the light of freshness. I like being up early. The hotel dining room is dead silent, like a cemetery. Out of my classmates, only some girls and Vincent are present. I decide to drop into the seat near him. Morning. Good morning. I didn't see you last night. I was getting my beauty sleep. Did you party with everyone? Of course. I have to admit, I have a hard time imagining you drinking. Why? I have high alcohol tolerance. Unlike many. Ugh, don't remind me. I woke up to the sounds of someone puking in the toilet next door. Unpleasant, isn't it? My face says it all. Still, the image of Vincent downing alcohol like a glass of juice seems really funny to me, so I can't help but laughing out loud. Vincent gives me a questioning look, so I quickly try to change the topic before he asks me anything. When I drink, I just become sleepy. Boring, right? Is that so? I thought you'd be the type to talk a lot. Nah, if anything, I shut up for good, and then fall asleep. I think I'm the type people would call an ambulance for because they drunkenly think I died of lethal ethanol intake. You sound like you speak from experience. Oh well. The trip itself is nothing special. Art museums never interested me much. During one of the excursions, Henrietta gets lost, and I volunteer to look for her. Thankfully, I spot her at the statue near the museum with a dead phone. Henrietta doesn't let go of my shirt until we get back to the group. The night at the hotel on our way back doesn't go as smoothly as the first one. This time I have to share a room with a guy who doesn't mind other people seeing him make out with his girlfriend right in the room. I do, so I grab my jacket and make my escape. It's already past curfew. Probably not the best idea to spend the night on the hotel stairs, but whatever. Just as I start to doze off, someone shakes my shoulder. Tyler, you'll catch a cold if you sleep here. It's Vincent. Thanks. I didn't mean to fall asleep. Why are you out at this hour? Just wanted to get some fresh air. I do enjoy night walks. We're not allowed to leave the rooms at night, you know. Then, may I ask why you're here? I guess I'm not a fan of voyeurism. No, that sounded bad. Forget it. Okay. I am guessing there are problems with your roommate? Yeah, that's a pleasant way to put it. I could use less pretty words, but it leave a bad taste in my mouth. Vincent looks at the night sky. It's nice here. So quiet. I don't have to wake up to shouting. I don't know what to say, so I just pick at my skin. Sorry, I said too much. No, that's fine, pitiful, awful. None of these seem to fit. I'm not someone who should comment. We sit in silence for some time. That being said, do you plan to return to your room? Nah, I'll wait it out a bit more. I see. Well, good night then. Night. Thanks for keeping me company. It's my pleasure. Half an hour later, I return to my room, only to find my classmates sleeping soundly. This asshole. I fall asleep thinking that it would be nice to go somewhere with my class again. Chapter 14. Passwords. System notification. One incoming message from Vincent. Would you mind joining me for lunch? Sure, just gonna grab something to eat. Is it the usual place? Yes. I'll be going ahead then. Vincent likes to eat outside. It's more quiet here, he says. After the class trip, we started hanging out more often. Sometimes he invites me for lunch, like today. Don't you think this education system is flawed? Vincent brings a hand to his chin, thoughtful. I wonder if this kind of behavior from Vincent is somewhat like intentional mirroring. Because they do say if you are fond of someone, you will naturally tend to mirror their actions in hopes of them being fond of you, or in hopes of gaining their favor unconsciously. And it is also a way, if you intentionally mirror someone's actions, it is said to increase the chances of them feeling comfortable or around you due to the relatability or something. Maybe, I don't know, it seems like a Vincent thing to do and calculate. Vincent brings a hand to his chin, thoughtful. Depends on what you define as a flaw. If the main objective of education is discipline, then it's essential to have a hierarchy. I'm rather thinking about the things we learn. Take today's test, for example. Do you actually know what the entropy of isolated systems never decreases means? Can you explain that? No, not really. I just learned the material needed to answer the question. See? You only learned the answer the teacher wanted to see. Not only will you forget this knowledge, but you'll have no clue what you were writing about. We're only learning keywords that we don't know the meaning of, and we don't gain any practical knowledge. Okay, I understand where you're coming from. If you can't find use for theoretical knowledge, then it's meaningless, right? However, I wouldn't use this statement as an excuse to slack off, or accuse people of using bad teaching methods for that matter. Alright, I just wanted you to hear me out on this. If given the opportunity, I'd like to change something myself. It'd be ridiculous to tell others how to do their work. I'm relieved you understand. I think it's not just the education system that uses keywords, though. Words that carry no meaning litter our speech in everyday life. And then mass media is just entirely made out of them. And it's just template phrases that guaranteed to cause a reaction. While the hidden objective may be entirely different. Yeah, like articles bashing local art exhibitions are actually written to promote them. Oh crap, I think the break will end soon. You still haven't finished your food. Don't worry about me. We hurriedly finished our modest lunch and ran to class. Chapter 15, Puberty. The older we get, the more disturbed and obnoxious everyone becomes. They're trying to connect, clumsily, erratically. Which I understand to some degree, but I've always been fine in my own company. Also Vincent's, but he can be tiring too. Sometimes he starts ranting on subjects I don't understand, which gets tedious. Like hell do I give a damn about politics. Go back to your containment board, for God's sake. Henrietta isn't a saint either. Am I actually masochistic for enjoying being bad-mouthed by her? At least she has the same horrible taste in anime. Miss Warhol, you absolutely have to consult me on dating sims. We could make a fortune off of this. Fuck off, Eiler. It won't sell. Here, at least. And don't talk so loudly. The other girls will hear. It's your fault for trying to seem like something you're not. So how about it, you and me, a doujin circle? No, I've never written a finished story in my life. Just copy the popular tropes. Everyone only wants things they're used to. Just go away, Eiler. You're bothered. Go pester someone else. Talking to Miss Warhol always lifts up my mood. Have you heard of Heaven's Gate? They're an organization that preaches our world is controlled by alien puppeteers from another world. Fucked up, right? Does that mean that their world is more real than ours? What even is real these days? Do you think we could be saved if we refuse to be actors on this stage? Maybe we should leave altogether. System notification. One incoming message from Charles. What's up with the emergence of web cults lately? Oh, you mean Heaven's Gate? Actually, I helped copyright the contents for the site. Really? Of course. Any kind of content has curators. This one was meant as a prank, though. You don't actually believe that we're puppets on strings, do you? The text you wrote was awfully convincing, though. I'm honored. Why Heaven's Gate, though? You wanted it to seem big, despite it being a prank. Doesn't it sound like something promising? Yeah, it sounds pretentious as fuck. It doesn't mean anything, really. Just like Heavenly Kingdom doesn't exist. So an empty promise of virtue, huh? Still, isn't it kind of dangerous? People might believe you guys for real. That would be silly, don't you think? Chapter 16, Rationality. Mr. Honecker, do you think I'd act more rational if I killed my remaining emotions? I don't believe we could be rational without feelings. Patients with prefrontal cortex brain damage cannot experience emotion. To them, any decision seems as good as the other. For example, when I think of killing someone I care about, I'm overwhelmed with horror. It goes without saying that I'd never do it on a whim. Thus, feelings are essential for rational thinking. Soap inhibits the prefrontal cortex functionality as a side effect, right? I've been saying it all the time, but consuming it isn't doing you any good. You lose the ability to distinguish the weight of one decision from another. And that means killing me and eating cookies for breakfast will be morally equal to you. My point is, killing your emotions will only worsen your overall mental state. It's okay to care, Bennett. Bennett croaks out a laugh. Chapter 17, Trust. Vincent peeks over my shoulder, startling me with his voice. Are you writing something? This barely counts as writing. Fennel steps over the bench, now facing me directly. Are you dissatisfied with what you're making? Not exactly. Not more than usual. It's just I don't know how to communicate my thoughts to others. The whole plot looks too contrived, and I'd stop reading after the first page. Do you think your readers are stupid? No. If anything, it's my own fault that I'm a clumsy writer, not theirs. Then, do you not trust them? Well, I don't. I mean, I really want to, but I'd be lying if I said I did. I see. If you can't bring it around no matter what, why not prove that you yourself can be trusted? Vincent leans closer into my personal space, making me recoil a bit. Show that you've done your research, that you're knowledgeable about the subjects you're handling, that you're involved as much as your reader is, that you're prepared to bare your mind and soul. His presence suddenly overbearing, Vincent looms over me. My breathing hitches. I feel small. Wouldn't I be making a fool out of myself if I admit my weaknesses? Yes, it'll make you vulnerable. It'll leave you in the open. Naked in public, guts out. Come, cop a feel. For $1.99 only. Thrilling, right? Yet you'll still be the one in control. Because it was your conscious decision to reveal the information, and you hold power over it. With those words, Vincent leaves my personal bubble and drops on a bench beside me. Having nothing to hide puts you at both an advantage and a disadvantage, but my opinion is that it's worth it. I suppose that's one way to go about it. If it were me, I'd rather have the work exist separately from its author. If anything, I prefer working as anonymously as possible. Yes, I'm not saying my approach will work for each and every person. You should choose what suits you best. But most importantly, don't underestimate your readers. Make them feel like your story is the best thing they'll ever experience. Make them feel like they can only feel that way with you. And there you have it, a story you can be proud of. The way you put it sounds like selling your mind to others. Does it? I'd call it sharing. Besides, being insincere in your work grows out in flavorless, throwaway text. Do you want to write disposable garbage like that? Mr. Fennel, you're intense. No, but from a writer's perspective, I do agree to some extent with Vincent, or rather, I lean towards Vincent's way of thinking, probably because the kind of works that I enjoy usually lean towards the kind wherein the author or the creator really bears their gut out. Like, when you play or view or read that piece of media, you can feel it in your bones almost that this is coming from the personal experience, from the personal, well, not necessarily pain, but the personal, I don't know, slimy, deep, dark stuff that comes from the author's own mind cave, and stuff like that. I suppose that is why I enjoy Etherane's work so much, because they feel so raw. It's so naked in that sense that if you as the player find something that you, I suppose, relate to in that sense, it really hits hard because it's a raw, fresh, it's like reopening every single wound and inspecting it under a microscope, but in such a beautiful way. It's honestly pretty wild. At the same time, I also understand Charles' point of view, because, well, to a lesser extent, but still, the feeling of being unable to trust your reader, because from the perspective of someone who creates media, although for myself privately, it would be such a weird or a bad, icky feeling, I suppose, with no other way to put it. It would be such an icky feeling if the practically autobiography, not saying that it is, but there's so much of you, there's so much of the writer, there's so much of everything that you've experienced and embodied that's in your work, that if someone were to interpret it differently, it kind of hits weird, in a sense. Although it is a learning thing that I'm trying to learn, not to, to understand that everyone has their own interpretations of works and their own experiences that they can relate to when viewing a particular piece of media. Like, for example, me as the player, I'm not etherane, but there are parts of the media that make me go, oh shit, oh fuck. And, like, for all I know, maybe that's not the accurate representation or the exact experience that etherane was trying to portray, and it's just that I latched onto something and it linked with something that I have personally experienced, and it makes me create my own oh shit, oh fuck moment. Like, you never know. That's a lot of knowledge for someone as young as you, Mr. Fennel. I'm just saying what I've learned from more experienced writers. And I suppose I'm really passionate about writing. Oh, I didn't know. Is he writing something too? You just look like you needed advice. Were the words I chose enough? I like how Vincent says, were the words I chose enough. In that sense, it's both, superficiality, but also the honesty that comes with admitting that he is ultimately using template phrases. Yeah, thanks. I owe you one. Actually, would you like to read what I've written so far? I think I could use some feedback. Sure. I don't expect mercy. Bring it on. I'll fetch you my notebook next week then. There's a lot written, so you can take your time with it. Our conversation is cut off by the ringing school bell. During our final high school year, Vincent joins the student council and invites me to do the same. Didn't you mention that you wanted to influence school life if possible? I believe it's a good opportunity to do so. I think it's not about good ideas, but rather the ability to convince others, which is something you have. And right now I'm using it to convince you to try it. So persistent. Okay, fine. I'll tag along. Success. You'll definitely regret it. Huh? Wait, that's the opposite of words of encouragement. It's past 6 p.m. We're one of the last students leaving school. I stretch and allow myself to let out a prolonged yawn. Today's meeting was so tiring. I need to know people day soon. I can understand that, says Vincent, who talked during the whole meeting. How do you even have energy for all that arguing? I just enjoy a good discussion. More like uncivilized discourse. Everyone was basically trying to shout louder than the others. Thrilling, isn't it? I can't believe you. I'm joking. It was indeed a bit tiring. I'm not a big fan of the noise. However, I don't feel like going home just yet. Well, the weather is not bad. I was planning to invite you for a walk anyway. All right. Should we walk in silence for a while? Good plan. I let my vision lose focus and feel the world around me slow down. We part ways after an hour of strolling around the park. Feeling re-energized, I spend the whole evening leisurely studying the subjects ahead of the program. Chapter 18, Social Media. We're waiting for the next class to start. Henrietta sits near me on the windowsill, dozing off with a chem textbook in her hands. I'm so tired of social media. Everyone's talking so much, but no one's talking about things that really matter. I feel bad for contributing. Henrietta yawns and stretches and then pinches my nose. What do you think people should be talking about then, genius? And who are you to decide what matters and what doesn't? Shut it, I know. I'm just saying how I feel. I feel tired. Your judgments are useless then. It's like wanting a teenage melodrama to have deeper meaning. Want something profound? Read a book. Or go talk to Fennel. It's like a combination of a therapist and a saint, so no wonder you love that. Way to trivialize him. He's like a god. A human. You're just biased because he validates you. Okay, good point. Still, I don't get it. What's so good about him? Aren't you just singing him praises because he's polite? Just because he has the human decency to make effort to be kind to others. He's hardworking, reliable, and after talking to him, I always feel like I've ascended to some new level of human consciousness. Also, he appreciates the concept of personal space, unlike some. Are you done yet? Now you're just being jealous. Go fuck yourself, Eiler. See? No human decency. Vincent would be like, would you kindly back off? That's the same thing. Might as well be. I wonder if he's ever gotten angry at someone. He just has high self-control. I lost mine somewhere along the way when I tried to prove that I'm not a doormat for others to step on. So she's conscious about her attitude after all. Mean Henri's the best Henri. Actually, any Henri's great. I can't exactly tell you not to worry about it though. But I like you the way you are. Okay. Henri is so cute when she's smiling like that. I love Henri. Chapter 19, Possession. Vincent comes over to do a research project for school. I welcome him to my room with rubber gloves still on my hands. Eiler, you look proud of yourself. Of course. Cleaning, done. Clothes, ironed. I can focus on schoolwork in peace. Good. You seem to be especially scrupulous when it comes to organizing. I just can't seem to focus when there's something out of place. I end up thinking about a sheet of paper lying around and sort it instead of doing something useful. But that's not the worst of it. Must be tough. My workspace isn't very organized in comparison, although I don't have many personal possessions. You don't like stuff piling up? That too, and perhaps I'm not very sentimental. I briefly wonder if that's really the only reason, but decide not to press on. Let's change the topic. That being said, remember when we were all about collecting stickers and stuff? Yeah, everyone was crazy about trading. I still have my collection. I can't bring myself to throw away my cat toys too. It's kind of embarrassing. Why? You must have loved them a lot. Having things you love doesn't make you seem infantile. Well, yeah, when you put it like that. What about you? Didn't you have your favorite stuff? Ah, no. I only bought popular things regardless of whether I liked them or not. Oh, I see. And then? Then I threw them away as soon as they became useless. In this moment, Vincent's gaze seemed empty. His face didn't convey any particular emotion, even though he was smiling, which felt horribly out of place. For a second, it felt like we weren't talking about bootleg Digimon stickers, but something else entirely. Well, yeah, I see. You must have no interest in material possessions. That's admirable. Vincent pauses for a bit, then answers. Yeah, that must be it. His words sound hollow. Chapter 20. Uncertainty. The sun is about to rise. Henry's fallen asleep on a beanbag with a joystick in his hands. Henri comes to hang out on weekends. Sometimes she brings her brother, whom she's begrudgingly babysitting. We play video games and eat snacks. When Henri's not in a school environment, she's far less stressed out. Even her voice sounds lower than usual. Crap, your brother's good at rhythm games. Yeah, use him as you like if you won't need to score full combos. That's all he's good for anyways. Aren't you being a little harsh? He deserves it for being a lazy ass. Have you seen his grades? It's like he's made it a goal for himself to be the worst student of the year. Maybe his mind just works differently from the rest. Yeah, that too. For the most part, he just wants to play MMORPGs all day. I want to help him, but I also want a break from all this shit. I'm tired of working part-time jobs to help parents sustain his lifestyle. Don't you know how much console games cost? Add that to a monthly MMO subscription, gacha pulls and merchandise, and you'll get my monthly salary. Your parents don't have to buy all of that, you know. Henry says they motivate him, so if they don't, he just refuses to leave the room. Sheesh. Henri looks at the ceiling, contemplating something. Eiler, I was thinking. Yes? Aren't we actually dating? What? Henri starts counting on her fingers. Look, it's the 5th time I'm staying over, and you take me out for nice food and carry my bags when I'm shopping. You even look after my brother when I'm busy. Aren't all of these just things a decent person would do, Miss Warhol? Actually, genuinely, yeah, I don't get it either. Just because, well, speaking from personal experience, I suppose, but just because I'm attracted to that category of gender doesn't mean that I like you if I'm nice to you. I fail to see your point. Aren't you the one who's always like, I wish someone would call me princess and take me on cute dates. We'd buy matching clothes and cuddle on the sofa. Henri nudges me with her elbow violently. Yeah, you're far from that. And please don't use that squeaky voice to imitate me ever again. Still, what should we call this? Does it need a specific term? If you're talking about becoming each other's possession, then I'm against it. No one ever belongs to anyone. And if for some reason everyone thinks a meaningless string of letters can bind people to them, isn't it normal to want something you can call your own? It rubs me the wrong way. That would mean treating others as commodities, which in turn contributes to the mindset intrinsic to a capitalist society. You just had to bring your pointless philosophy into it. Just say it in normal people words. Sorry, I just don't know yet. Henri sighs. Well, me neither. She's so pretty when she's smiling like that. I love brown-haired Henri so much. It's insane. Like, black-haired Henri in the Hello Charlotte games are, very pretty as well, but this particular genre of real-life Henri just hits different. I love. Hold on, let me try something. Henri leans in and kisses me. So, how was it? It was supposed to be this amazingly good thing that every story leads up to, but I didn't really feel like anything out of the ordinary. What if it was with someone else? I think it'd be the same. You know, I'm not too comfortable with physical stuff. Is there something wrong with me after all? Want me to hit you? Aren't you the one who keeps going on tirades about everyone experiencing life differently? Just because I don't understand doesn't mean it's your fault. Sorry, I just feel like I'm constantly letting people down. Then find a downer like you, jeez, or stop worrying about it. Just look at Fennel being comfortable in his own company. Vincent's always surrounded by people, though. He only started isolating himself just recently. I've only talked to him a few times. I felt like he wasn't even there. He's not really listening to what you say. So my conclusion is that he is full of shit. But at least he's content with it. Maybe he was just bored around you. Maybe, but he's like that around literally everyone. And you kind of suck at reading people. I bet Fennel's the kind of person who'd populate a planet with clones of himself and be happy about it. Where did that come from? If I cloned myself or had my personality divided into parts, it'd end in mass suicide. Now you're being weird. Anyway, I guess it's stupid to try to mold you into something you're not. Even if you do everything a romantic partner would, it's pointless if you're not feeling it. I'm sorry. There you go again. It should be a thank you, shouldn't it? You're right. Thank you, Henri. I love that, though. The whole, instead of saying sorry, say thank you. I wake up with a headache and stumble into the bathroom to brush my teeth. I look into the mirror and notice that I only blink with one eye. Weird. But whatever. School proceeds as normal until I start feeling extremely fatigued during the 5th period. Something's not right. I end up calling Mom. She always knows what to do. Seems like your son has Bell's palsy. It might take around a month to recover. Great. Out of all the rare illnesses, my body decided to get this one. Missing a month of school before exams sounds like the worst case scenario. It's just half of my face staying unresponsive, yet my whole body feels numb. I can barely focus on the phone screen as I type a message back to Henri, who was curious enough to investigate my sudden disappearance from class. System notification. One incoming message from Henri. You okay? Got hospitalized with face paralysis. The fuck is that? The fuck is that indeed? One of my eyes can't blink and my mouth is stuck in a convoluted grimace. Thank God no one will come to visit. I close my eyes, one manually, and hope that the numbness will go away in the morning. It doesn't. Hospital food is tasteless. That doesn't really matter since I'm going to be discharged today. No one stays at hospitals for more than 2 days unless you're fatally injured. Mother asked her acquaintances to give me a ride home. What followed were 2 weeks of pills and 24 hours sleep, and 2 more weeks of staring at the ceiling because my mind couldn't focus on anything else. Henrietta came to visit while you were sleeping. She brought some printouts from school. Bless her. Among the stuff Henri brought, I found a notebook with Vincent's name on it. I hope you find these notes useful. Get well soon, said the note inside. I'm mortified. I ended up being a burden to them both. I tried to shake the feeling of guilt and be sincerely grateful, but end up being choked by guilt. I have to catch up, become better, more capable. If I'm not ahead of others, then my self-worth is no better than 0. I need to thank people who care about me soon. When I finally became able to come outside after what felt like forever, dandelions were full in bloom. Chapter 22, Care. Vincent has his nose buried in a notebook lately. He's definitely writing something, but I never pry. I think there are 2 ways to go about writing. To be the one in power, or to give power to your readers. You can write a piece so flawless and complete that your awestruck readers will be rendered speechless, or create a flawed, seemingly incomplete work, prompting the reader to contribute with better ideas. Which would you prefer? Playing God or making a fool out of myself. Tough choice indeed. So? The latter sounds like less pressure, so I'd take that one. That way, every reader can become a co-creator, even if they get laughs at my expense. I see. Besides, if something is considered ideal, you can only make copies of it without creating anything new. That doesn't sound too creative to me. More importantly, what be your choice? Me? Well, what do you think? I think you'd want to leave it a rhetorical question. How are your grades coming along, by the way? Well, it looks like I'll be one of the few people invited to the awards ceremony. Wow, you're amazing. I didn't really have a choice. Do you think you'll be able to graduate with honors? Nah, I totally blew my chem and math grades. Took me a bit of time to come to terms with the fact that I'm not that smart. Oh, felt that hard. Felt that one. Wish I didn't grow up thinking that doing well in academics would guarantee me a secure future, though. Or anything, really. Right now, I just want to sleep my life away. By the way, how's your mother feeling? She's okay, surprisingly enough. I'm doing my best to help her, too. Even if it means working in retail. I'm sure of it. She used to be far more violent before. Never laid a hand on me, though. It was always something else. Utensils, clothes, books. The only thing I regret is that as a kid, I tried to make her less aggressive by saying I'll kill myself. That was extremely selfish of me. You were a child. You didn't know any better. Still, it's so weird. Out of all solutions, my 4-year-old mind always jumped to suicide. Vincent touches the bruise on his cheek, only somewhat consciously. Guess I just wanted to guilt trip her into caring. I see. So the answer isn't foreign to you, too. What do you mean? It's nothing. Don't worry. It sounds fishy. But as long as you don't want to talk about it, I'll bug off. Thank you. I would hate being pitied. Chapter 23, Visit. Yep, that's Hello Charlotte for you. Maybe I shouldn't have come without warning. But it's Charles, so he wouldn't mind all that much. I'll just return his book and go home anyway. It's open. Jeez, when will they fix the lock? It's already been a month since it's been like this. This place is already a hellhole. Would it hurt them to put more effort into making it a little bit safer? The elevator's taking too long. Did someone just come in? Keep quiet and no one will get hurt. You bitch, stop screaming. Somebody help! I hear someone opening the door floors above and a dog barking. He ran away. I can't stay here. Blood. Who could it be? Maybe I should pretend we're not home. Henri? There's a trail of blood behind her. It keeps dripping, staining the floor. What happened? Shit, okay, don't talk. Mom, call the ambulance. Henri, I'll help you lie down, okay? The blood will get everywhere. Don't worry about it. It's gonna be alright. If her lung isn't punctured, that is. Here. Sorry for the makeshift scarf pillow. I'll get you a real one in a bit. I'll try to stop the bleeding now. But I only have theoretical knowledge about it. Forgive me if it hurts. Mom will Google the right way to do it, so trust us. Henri stays quiet. She must be in shock. I help her take off her shirt and look at the wound, try not to focus on her blood oozing out. It's most definitely a knife wound. Okay, this should do it. I throw the blood-stained shirt into cold water and let out a sigh. The ambulance arrives quickly. I follow her to the hospital, hoping that it's nothing serious. When I see Henri again, she has the same absent-minded look on her face. What did they say? No internal organ damage, but it's going to leave a scar. That's good. It sucks. Why did things like these happen? Can't everyone live in peace? She begins to tear up. Why must I be cautious of every person I see on the street? Why must I be scared of walking alone? I'm scared too. Ever since we moved into that place, I've been paranoid of every sound. We got rid of the cockroaches, but the neighbors stayed. Wanted me to get you some pepper spray? I have some in my bag. I hate it. The very fact that you speak of these things like they're nothing out of the ordinary. But they are ordinary. My mom got stalked by some psycho for over a year, and I got smacked with a broken bottle on the street some time ago. Our neighbor's dog got mauled by a pack of strays. Life's full of misfortunes like that. Fuck that. It's unfair. It is. But there's nothing we can do about it, can we? You're always like this, ignoring the problem instead of doing something about it. Miss Warhol. And what? What's up with the sudden formality? I didn't get to ask, but what exactly happened back then? I don't get it myself. Everything happened so quickly. He told me to stay quiet, but I screamed my lungs out anyway. Maybe he just wanted my purse, or maybe something else. I don't know. I just wanted to return the book. Henri turns over and cries into the pillow. Chapter 24, Wound. Okay, examination over. I'm going to disinfect the equipment. You can get dressed. Thanks, Mr. Honecker. So, how is it? I don't think these bruises will ever heal, unless we skin you and replace the tissue completely. Yeah, I don't think you'd want it. Even though you're emotionally dead, unless medicated, it's gonna hurt like hell. Can't laugh about that. If it's a smile, I can always give you one. See? Just like I was taught in the labs. Stop it. That's not funny. It's weird, Mr. Honecker. I'm so desensitized to cruelty and violence that I no longer feel saddened or shocked by them. I don't think I'm capable of crying either, or feeling anything, really. Everything is just mundane. Well, humans are an adaptive species. If all you see every day is atrocities, you can't help but get used to them. Yeah, I guess you're right. Forget I said anything. You hate being sober that much? When I am, I start having thoughts. I'd rather not think, Mr. Honecker. That should be your thing to do. Good night. Well, he's right. It's really not something I should concern myself with. I have to focus on my research while I still have the time. Chapter 25, Love. We're strolling in the park after school again. The weather isn't particularly good, but I have an umbrella with me. Vincent doesn't mind the rain, but I do, so I follow him like the butler of a rich household. His throat is bandaged. Vincent doesn't bring it up, and I don't ask. We stop at a small bridge. Oh, there's something I've been meaning to tell you for a while. No way. Is it a love confession, Mr. Fennel? Almost. I've been writing a novel. That's very similar to a love confession, honestly. No, what's it called? Aether Almanac. Sounds fancy. I'm still in the process of writing it, and frankly, there's a lot to do, but I've published some chapters already. If you're willing to give it a read, I'd be happy to share it. Of course, I mean, you can't write badly. Thank you for your trust. It's a collection of short stories centered around one divine being. It needs a lot of improvement, and I don't expect my target demographic to be older than myself. Still, it's a work I love dearly. It's the first time I've heard him use love in regard to something. I should read it soon, I thought. he had ended up postponing it till the very last minute. One's writing is the mirror of one's soul. I was afraid of my imaginary construct of Vincent shattering upon looking into it. Chapter 26, Aether Almanac. In the land of eternity, there lived a scientist. Exiled from a homeland for hearsay against their beliefs, she decided to travel around the world to see all its wonders. She saw civilizations rise and fall, and stars explode, and new forms of life come into existence. After thousands of years of wandering, she began to grow weak in her limbs. She walked and walked until she stumbled and fell onto the ground. And there she lay for days, unable to get up on her own. People passed by. Some asked if she was feeling unwell. Some pitied her and gave her food to eat. Some gave advice on how to get back on her feet. And nobody extended a hand. One day she felt someone lift up her weakened frame. She looked up and saw a being she couldn't quite describe, as its form was constantly changing. It was the most fascinating sight she'd ever seen. "What are you?" the scientist asked. "I cannot be defined by mere words," I laughed, amused by her question. "Some call me White Queen, but that was only one of my many masks. I'm neither a man nor a woman, for I am not human. They say meeting me is a great blessing that happens once in many millions of years. Therefore, how about I grant you one wish?" the being offered. "Say, what do you wish for?" The scientist thought of unlimited knowledge and the world's treasures and infallible health, but none of those wonders interested her any longer. "Can you remain by my side?" she asked. Her voice growing weak at the realization that she grew tired of solitude dawned at her. "Unfortunately, I cannot grant you that wish, as nothing can bind me," was the divine being's answer, and the scientist hung her head low. "However, if it's a lifelong partner you want..." Without as much as a warning, the creature tore off the scientist's finger, and her identical copy grew from it. As the scientist screamed from the sharp pain that pierced her, the relentless god spoke again. "It knows everything you do, and understands you better than anyone else ever would. It will never leave your side and remain with you in life and death. When your sight fades, it will become your eyes. When you lose strength in your legs, it will carry you in its embrace. Together, you are one." I dream of falling into a pit of identical corpses and wake up in cold sweat. Reminds me of how Henri said that Vincent would be content with living on a planet with just clones of himself, as compared to Charles, who would commit mass suicide had he had to live with clones of himself. Chapter 27, Different. Henri's idly browsing her phone as I struggled to finish a mission in her shooter I was playing. "Wow, Fennel's sure popular. I just looked up his novel and it has like 15 fan communities." "Oh. What are you acting all surprised for? Aren't you his fan or something?" "Stop it, I'm not a blind follower. I read his writing the other day. It's good, like really good, but I didn't like it." "Whoa, okay. Care to explain?" "Well, the overarching theme of his stories is that only you can save yourself. It's like other people don't exist or can't be of any help even if they're around. His characters either choose solitude or to end up in circumstances where they're surrounded by their own selves. Don't you think it's close-minded to think that way?" "Wow, Eiler. I knew you were dense as a brick, but not to this extent." "What do you mean?" Henri rubs her temples and gives me a reprimanding stare. Listen. Doesn't all this remind you of a certain someone?" Breaking news. Young people aged 12 to 16 found dead on the shore. The motives behind their deaths remain unclear. Numerous sources report that they were all frequent visitors of Heaven's Gate community website, a web cult whose beliefs may have led them to suicide. Vincent skipped school for 3 weeks. When I see him again, there's a mask plastered on his face. Vincent Fennel is smiling. Chapter 28. God. It's dark in the morgue. We sit on the cold ceramic floor. Felix Honecker doesn't have long to live. How are you feeling, Mr. Honecker? Tired, but that's nothing new. Is everyone pulling an all-nighter because of me? Yeah, even Florence didn't hold back on soap. Felix sighs. Even though I did nothing to deserve this kind of treatment, you all chose to act stupid. What are you sulking for, idiot? You'll see me tomorrow. And that person won't be you. I doubt anybody will notice the difference. It's not like I did anything remarkable during my lifespan. You gave a shit about me. Although you gave a shit about everyone. Just like Henry. Before he fell ill. It's unfair. We both know I am a copy. First, Mr. Honecker tells me it's okay to care, and then he complains when I do. Which is it? Do you believe in God, Bennett? No. Henry Huxley isn't someone as shallow as that. I see. And it must be the same for me too. Mr. Honecker, I won't make friends with you the next time we meet. That's a promise then. I was thinking, especially because we know that the world of Hello Charlotte is written by Charles, so the characters like Bennett and Felix and all of those funky fellas are all coming from Charles. I was wondering maybe if, I don't know, the line earlier, let me go back to there, where is it? A line over here that says, you gave a shit about me, although you gave a shit about everyone, just like Henry, before he fell ill. Reminds me of Charles' mother, in a sense. She was very caring last time. And I would say she probably raised him with quite gentle and kind beliefs, like his opinion on the bugs and stuff. Like you shouldn't pick on bugs even if they're smaller, and how she cared about the well-being of Vincent to some extent when she found out that his parents weren't taking him home and stuff like that. But after that, she kind of, or at least her mental health kind of went down. And in that sense, kind of feels like, you know, writing always has projection anyway. And the whole copy thing, maybe this is presumptuous on my part, but sometimes when parents are not consistent in their attitudes, I suppose, children tend to I don't know whether it's a default, but actually I don't know whether children in general do that, but if if your parent is not very consistent as a child or as a young teen, it is, I wouldn't think it's uncommon for people to start to view them as separate people, so it's a bit easier to handle. The kind of copy this, copy that thing just kind of reminds me of maybe that's just an assumption. Yeah, I don't think, yeah, that's probably just an assumption. Never mind, ignore me. Chapter 29, Exams. Exams are stressful, but they're nothing I'm unprepared for. After all, I've always been a diligent student. I get paired with Henri during the language exam, and we pass with flying colors. Vincent, however, remains as distant as ever. For the past month, we haven't gotten to talk at all. I wonder what he's thinking. How disappointing. I can't seem to find any topics to discuss with you, Eiler. No, Vincent's not that petty. The very fact you thought of me like that makes you the petty one. The truth is yours, imaginary Mr. Fennel. I understood that the way I use my words impact people around me, so I decided to distance myself from people who are easily influenced. More plausible. But doesn't that mean that he thinks very little of me? Ugh. There's no guarantee we'll keep in touch after graduating either. I can't help but shake off the feeling of frustration welling up and end up losing sleep at night. I'm so anxious that I decide to discuss it with Henri. She likes food, so I lure her in by inviting her to a cafe. He wrote what? Henri stabs a cherry tomato on her plate. It makes a popping sound and bursts. Maybe telling her wasn't a good idea after all. So what if he's a cult leader? I want to talk to him again. Besides, he only helped copyright the text. It's not like he involved himself in their activity. Your moral compass just did a complete 180 right now. Listen, I'm sure he understands the weight of his actions. His current isolation must just be damage control. Are you sure he's not just a control freak who enjoys having power over others? God, Henri, are we even talking about the same person here? It's almost as if Charles forgot about the Vincent that used to tear out insect wings. He's the most tactful person I know. He wouldn't. If you commit suicide just because he told you your imaginary world would become real, don't come crying to me. You can't cry if you're dead, Miss Warhol. Anyway. Fennel's dangerous, okay? People like him harm others without even realizing it. That accident confirmed it. If he's a writer, he should take full responsibility for the messages he's communicating. And don't go, it's their own fault on me. But it is. Everyone has their own brains. If they decided to self-destruct after hearing they're in a video game, then they were already predisposed to do it. And they saw the cult side and bam, confirmation bias activated. They just wanted a motive and they got it. I would never end my life just because I stumbled on some creepypasta on the internet. It would take more than that. Like mother's death. Or my own health deteriorating to the point where I start hurting others, then Hey, stop it. I'm sorry. I don't think I'm completely right either. Circumstances are different in each individual's case, and I know that. I'm just worried about him. Knowing Vincent, he'll never talk about himself, which is okay with me if that's what he wants. But if I keep ignoring this, what if I think of running on the field and children are laughing, illuminated by the sun. People like that don't live long. Fine, I get it. Talk to him when you get the chance, okay? I'm sure you two will figure something out. I'll walk Henri home and wave her goodbye. When I see Vincent next time, what should I tell him? No matter what I say, I find myself afraid of hearing his answer. Chapter 30, Graduation. The graduation day finally comes. Time sure flies. Henri's so pretty. Charlie, over here. Oh, hello. Do you really not recognize me? I think you just aged by 9 years. Ow, okay, 7. Please stop kicking me, Miss Warhol. I know I look good. You do too. I look like my father. And you hate it? I don't know anymore. All that matters is that Mother is doing better. Henri pets my head. Okay, try to have fun today. Thanks, you too. Also, this is a really, really weird thing that I noticed about myself personally, if you don't mind. The way Mother is always capitalized just gives me the heebie-jeebies. I don't know why. Like, if it were in lowercase, I don't think I would be so icked out by it, but the way it's in capital just gives me the like, oof feeling. Maybe it's a personal preference, I don't know. I look for Vincent in the crowd. He's talking to one of our teachers, all smiles as usual. I join in as his shadow. Tyler, you look different. You look tired. Do I? Well, I suppose I'm not really fond of long ceremonies. Is Miss Warhol not with you? She's participating in a photo shoot with the other girls. I ran away as soon as I saw the camera. Vincent laughs, visibly amused. And it's too stuffy in this suit. I have to agree. But there's nothing much we can do about it, right? Yeah, I just want it to be over soon. By the time we get to the rented conference hall, it's already evening. The banquet doesn't interest me, but I already paid for it, so I stuff myself full with random appetizers. Vincent's dissecting a steamed carrot with the precision of a surgeon at the nearby table. He seems bored. The moment I decide to approach him, he's engaging in a conversation with someone else. Too bad. I decide to look for Henri, and I find her surrounded by girls on the floor below. She looks like she's having fun, so I leave her to it. It dawns at me that out of all the people in class, I only managed to become somewhat friendly with 2. With the rest, I don't really have anything to talk about. Unless it's homework. Maybe it's for the best if we forget each other's names after we all go separate ways. In the corner of my eye, I see Vincent leaving the hall. You're leaving? Just taking a walk outside. It's a bit noisy in here. Oh, alright. It doesn't look like he's going to come back. See you later then. See you. Crap, his coat is still here. When I run out of the building, Vincent's nowhere to be seen. I jog a bit to the main road until I spot the familiar silhouette. Fennel, wait, your coat. Ah, thank you. You needn't have run. I would have come back for it later. It didn't seem like it. Vincent covers his mouth with his hand, hiding the surfacing emotion. Is that so? Mind if I walk with you for a bit? Sure. We walk in silence. There's too much on my mind, and I can't put any of it into words. Somehow we ditched the prom night without really planning to. I don't think anybody's gonna look for me today anyway. We reach a viewpoint on the hill. It's the highest platform in the old town. Vincent's panting lightly, exhausted from climbing the stairs. It's pretty high up here, isn't it? I'm not fond of high places. Feels all too familiar for some reason. I feel sick. I like them, though. Even the air here feels clearer. Vincent leans over the fence and inhales the night air. Being above everything. Leaving all the noise and the commotion down below. Don't you feel the same? No. I feel like I could fall down any second. I see. Oh, are you alright? I crouch down, my head spinning. I'm not alright. It's like we've been here before. It's not the same. You never talk about anything that really matters, do you? It's always smiles and big talk. Talking. Let nothing you say has real weight to it. I'm sick of your smiling face. What? Ah, I see. Should I say what you want to hear then? Or agree with everything you say, like you always do? My personality has nothing to do with this. Does it? I'm led to believe that you're as much of a control freak as I am. No matter how much others worry about you, you decide to shoulder everything on your own. That's because of how my mother is. That's because I don't want to be a burden. For you, it's all about your image. But if I ask for your help, who would provide it? You? At the very least, I listen to what you have to say. You just don't trust me enough. You don't trust anyone. Vincent's eyes gleam with ice. The only one who sees a problem in it is you, Wyler. You're not the solution to my problems. Neither am I to yours, even though you seem to think otherwise. Needles and knives. His words pierce through, but I don't falter. I know. Yet I want to understand you. It's not your fault that I don't. You're someone I've always looked up to. You could do things I couldn't and find the right words to influence others. It always felt like your opinions mattered. I crouched down and faced the ground, suddenly flustered. I thought I wouldn't mind losing my individuality if it meant getting influenced by yours. Vincent's gaze becomes absent-minded. I'm a bit envious. I have no one like that. There's only myself, and always has been. I have no role model, and I have a hard time finding a reflection of myself in other people. It's like standing on the other side of a one-way mirror. But I don't think of others as inferior to myself. In fact, I like people a lot. That's why I try to show it with appropriate words. Language passwords, just like we discussed once, remember? Friend, soulmate, partner. These are all very easy to say. The only difference is that while they have a meaning to others, these words sound empty to me. I've never felt close to anyone. Kind, understanding Vincent Fennell didn't exist until I created him. I remember Vincent in the kindergarten. Emotionally dead kid gathering crowds around him with useless trinkets from popular shows. The only time he ever showed emotion was when he tore off wings from those ants, claiming to be in control. Control. Is that what it's all about? You claim that you don't mean the things that you say, that your personality is fabricated. I don't think you're being entirely honest. You're right. I don't mean it either. He's insufferable. However, Vincent isn't looking at me. His mind is elsewhere. It's like there's a wall between myself and the rest. Ever since my childhood, I've been trying to break through it by trying to be someone I'm not. Yet it's meaningless. Even if I make it seem like he exists, I can't be him. Deep inside, I must be the same child who laughed at the ants whose wings he tore off. Just because it was the only time when he felt like he was in control over someone's life. Because he lacked control over his own. Still, you've been trying your best, haven't you? All this talk about a quiet place and those bruises. I think it's pretty obvious at this point, whoever you live with, they've been. I stumble on my words. They haven't been treating you well. The Vincent I remember was an empty husk of a person. It's like you were never physically there at all. Yet with time, you were able to regain control over your life. It's like you became someone whom others look up to overnight. You worked hard for it, because you care. That's just a life narrative you constructed for me. It's nothing that pretty. Can't be proud of being a hypocrite. Would you rather dissociate for the rest of your life? I don't want that either. Both choices are wrong. There's just no hope for me, is there? Hopefully you've experienced Hello Charlotte before watching this playthrough. And if you do, you would recognize this scene to some extent, or in the angling and framing of this scene. And all I can say is, ouch. This life, I've already tried to put an end to it a month ago. Well, I didn't think much of it. It was something I knew would happen one day or another. Naturally. Yet I ended up not going all the way. And I thought, I still haven't returned the notebook. It's always the small things, somehow. I was supposed to put an end to everything. For a ridiculous reason like that, I didn't. For real though. It really do be like that. My eyes begin to sting, but no tears come out. I may be insignificant and frankly boring, but I'm gonna do my best to become someone you can consider your equal, so that you won't feel so alone. I'll keep doing my best, so I. In the corner of my eye, I see Vincent crouching down near me, putting a hand on my shoulder. Don't push yourself, he says, his gaze remaining frozen. You're already doing enough. Empty words and template phrases. Neither of us can find comfort in each other's words. Neither of us know what to do. I want you to live, I croak out. Not to a corpse. Not to an imaginary construct. Not to a vacant shell, but to Vincent Fennell himself. History repeats. I can't see his face. I see, Vincent says simply. No tears, no surprises. That's how Vincent Fennell is. Yet his words sounded almost thankful. Vincent gets up and extends his hand to me. Congratulations on graduating, Charles. I reach out and accept his hand. The future still remains uncertain, yet I feel like I'll be able to fall asleep tonight. The sun rises. A new day has come. The end. Art, character, story, programming by etherane. Once again, it is insanely amazing. Editing and testing by LK. Phone message system, Nadia Nova. Thank you for playing. It is insane to me how etherane can create such a wonderful piece of work. Every time I play any one of their works, there's just this feeling of heaviness that I have never experienced in any other piece of work or media or anything in my entire 20 years of living. It's insane. Maybe it has to do with how different people can find relatability in different works, maybe. But at the same time, the ability to articulate and put these experiences and these things so artistically in a work that is so incomplete yet complete in the best ways possible. It leaves enough blanks for the audience to fill it up with their own preconceived notions, and yet is complete enough to tell a story that, when viewed independently, even from the point of view of someone who perhaps cannot interject their own experiences into it, well, it's still enjoyable. It's still it still tells a story. It's just wonderful. It's so good. It almost feels like a shame that I couldn't cry while playing it. Honestly speaking, I was very excited to cry while playing it because it's a work that deserves tears in that sense. If anything, I feel like the Hello Charlotte franchise would be the one game that I wish I could have cried for. Genuinely, no words can describe how much I love and adore this game. It's crazy. Although, admittedly, it does require a certain headspace to be able to play this game, which is why I would probably put a content warning for this game, probably. Even the main Hello Charlotte games as well, which I find myself more and more inclined to play on recording because, well, I hope I'll be able to cry while playing it. But, yeah, there's so many things I want to say. There's so many things that this game fills my brain with, but it fills up too fast to the point where it's just flowing out faster than my mouth can move, and therefore all that comes out to the front of my mouth, and therefore articulation becomes like a blah 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 blah. It's so good. I know I sound like a broken record just being like, it's so good, but it is so good. It's genuinely beautiful. Somehow, yeah, I think I will want to play Hello Charlotte on recording. I feel like there's this weird quality to recording and having to articulate and read out each line that makes it hit harder. Yeah, like honestly, if I were to be honest, this recording is actually my second run of the game. Because the very first time I played it on recording, like 2 hours ago, or 3 hours ago. Wait, no, 4 hours ago, yes. I played it 4 hours ago trying to record and I couldn't make it through. Yeah, it hit too hard until I couldn't read the lines. So, after a quick breather, I am back and more articulate. Yippee doo-dah. Anyway, it's a wonderful game, as is the entire Hello Charlotte franchise. No, I will not shut up about how good Etherane's works are. As are all of Etherane's works, of course, like Mr. Rayner's Solve It service, Tomorrow Won't Come for those without... I don't know how to say that title. Yeah, like, they're all so good. Just play them, enjoy them, and embrace them, eat them, consume them, whatever. Let them consume you, more like it. Evidently, I've been consumed as well by the brain rot, but it's so good. Thank you for joining me on my really crazy, weird, almost therapy session. Yeah, thank you so much. And please stay safe. Don't do icky, bad, no good thingies that you may regret in the future. Stay safe, yes, stay safe. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.